Close your eyes. Step away from the screens, the notifications, the endless buzz of the modern world. Let your breath slow down. Imagine that the walls around you are dissolving, the ceiling is opening up, and the floor beneath you is turning to cool, damp earth. You are traveling backward, past the age of electricity, past the rise of empires, past the invention of writing. You are going back 300,000 years, give or take a few millennia, waking up to a world that is vast, silent, and completely alien to our own, yet strangely familiar. It's early morning, and you open your eyes to the soft, gray light of dawn filtering into a rock shelter. The air is crisp, carrying the scent of wood smoke, crushed leaves, and wet earth. All around you, you hear the low murmur of voices. People are stirring. A baby cries briefly, then settles into its mother's arms. Someone laughs. Outside, the birds are calling to each other in the growing light. This is morning. This is how humans woke up for hundreds of thousands of years. It's an ordinary morning in a life that, according to the popular imagination, was anything but ordinary. We've been told a story, haven't we? A picture has been burned into our minds by countless movies and documentaries. The caricature of the caveman. Brutish, hairy, and dim-witted. Constantly running from saber-toothed tigers, spending every waking moment desperately searching for food, living on the edge of starvation. A nightmare of pure survival. We imagine our ancestors as poor, scared, and desperately deprived, while we are rich and comfortable. But the evidence tells a radically different story. Archaeological findings, combined with studies of modern hunter-gatherer societies, show that prehistoric life was not just about survival. It was about living. These people worked less than we do, typically spending only 4 to 6 hours a day on what we'd call subsistence activities, gathering plants, hunting, and maintaining tools. The rest of their time was leisure. They had rich social lives, art, music, complex languages, and deep emotional connections. They told stories around the fire, decorated their bodies with ochre, and buried their dead with ceremony and grave goods. In terms of free time, a prehistoric human might have had more leisure hours in a week than most modern people get in a month. They weren't just biological machines optimized for survival. They were human in every sense that we understand that word. They had the same fundamental needs we do. Food and shelter, yes, but also connection, meaning, beauty, and play. So let's walk through a typical day, but not a dramatic day with a mammoth hunt or a confrontation with a rival group. Those happened, of course, but they were the exception. We are looking at a regular day, an ordinary day 40,000 years ago, when an early human woke up to the dawn and lived their life in ways that were both utterly foreign and strangely familiar. Understanding this rhythm doesn't just teach us about the past, it raises uncomfortable questions about the present. It makes us wonder what we've gained with civilization and what we might have lost. It makes us ask whether progress always means what we think it means. The morning begins without an alarm. Consciousness returns slowly, naturally, guided by the gradual lightening of the sky and the stirring of bodies around you. The first thing you notice is the morning chill, that crisp cold that makes you reluctant to leave the warmth of your sleeping spot. You are lying on a bed of dried grasses and animal skins, pressed close to other members of your band. Not for intimacy necessarily, but for survival. Body heat is a precious resource that no one can afford to waste. The second thing you notice is the smell. Wood smoke. Always wood smoke, but faint now. The central fire has died down to glowing embers. This is mixed with the scent of unwashed bodies, not unpleasant exactly, but human. The smell of rendered animal fat from yesterday's meal. The earthy, mineral smell of the rock shelter itself. Someone is already awake. In the Paleolithic, sleep was not the long, unbroken block of time we struggle to achieve today. We have evidence, both from sleep research and from modern hunter-gatherers, that humans practiced what scientists call biphasic or polyphasic sleep. You'd sleep for a few hours, then wake for a period in the middle of the night. This was normal, not insomnia. During that wakeful period, people talked quietly, tended the fire, checked on children, made love, or simply lay there thinking, watching the stars. This meant that at any moment, someone was usually awake, listening for the sounds that didn't belong. The footfall of a predator, the crack of a branch, the distant howl that meant danger was moving through the territory. Safety was not taken for granted. It was something you maintained hour by hour through vigilance and cooperation. The person awake now is feeding the fire. You hear the soft sounds of movement, see the sudden brightening as new fuel catches. Fire management was perhaps the most important skill your people possessed. Let it die completely, and you'd face the exhausting task of restarting it with friction methods or carrying embers from miles away. Better to keep it going. Who did this job rotated. Sometimes the elderly, who slept lighter, sometimes young adults without small children. As the fire builds, more people stir. Children first, ready to move, ready to play. Adults wake more slowly. Rushing is a modern invention. Your day is governed by light, hunger, weather, and seasons. People stretch slowly, methodically, working out the stiffness from sleeping on the ground. They yawn, scratch, and attend to basic needs. Plans begin to form, but loosely. Decisions emerge from discussion and consensus, not command. The band, your extended family, your survival unit, is reassembling after the night. Everyone made it through another period of vulnerability. Children are already playing, wrestling, and chasing each other. Practical concerns are addressed. Tools are checked, spears inspected, baskets repaired. All of this happens without any sense of time pressure. Stomachs start to growl. Your ancestors didn't have breakfast in the modern sense. They ate when food was available, when hunger demanded it. What you eat depends on what was left from yesterday. Maybe a strip of leftover meat from a red deer, a handful of hazelnuts cracked between powerful molars, or dried blackberries gathered during the summer abundance. The real treasure, though, is near the fire. Cattail roots, roasted slowly in the residual heat. Cooking was a primary technological breakthrough, effectively tripling the number of plant species your ancestors could eat. By analyzing fossilized feces and dental calculus, scientists have discovered an astonishing variety in the Paleolithic diet. Wild grains, root vegetables, nuts, berries, even insects like grasshoppers and termites, which are excellent sources of protein and fat. Early humans were dietary generalists, capable of exploiting virtually any food source in their environment, which was crucial for survival as environments changed and seasons shifted. No one eats alone. Food is social, shared according to complex rules everyone understands. The hunter who made the kill yesterday may eat less than others today, because risk pooling is the social glue holding the group together. You share today, and someone else will share with you tomorrow. When the meal is done, it's time to get to work. The hunt gets all the glory. The dramatic confrontations with mammoths, the dangerous face-offs with predators. But that is not what kept you alive. The truth that would have been obvious 40,000 years ago is that hunting was the exception and gathering was the rule. On any given day, somewhere between 60 and 80% of your calories came from plants. Roots, tubers, nuts, seeds, berries, leaves, flowers. Gathering was not casual work. It was specialist knowledge that required years of training. The picture of gender roles is more complicated than we thought. Anthropological and archaeological evidence shows that prehistoric societies were pragmatic. Women and children often did the majority of the gathering, but we have found women buried with hunting weapons, and isotope analysis of their bones shows meat-heavy diets. The pragmatic division of labor depended on specific circumstances, but gathering was never considered less important in hunting. So, picture yourself on a gathering expedition. It's mid-morning, and the sun is burning off the mist. You head out with a small group. An older aunt who knows plant locations better than anyone, a young cousin who is learning, and your own child strapped to your back in a sling of softened deer hide. You aren't wandering randomly. You are following a mental map built over years. The oak grove, 3 miles north, should have ripe acorns. The cattails near the creek will provide starchy roots. The walk is challenging. Rocky hillsides, thick underbrush, streams to ford. All this while carrying a child and the tools of your trade. A fire-hardened digging stick, woven baskets, and perhaps a stone knife. Gathering is not about adrenaline. It's about attention. You are reading the landscape, the soil discoloration that indicates wild tubers, the animal track patterns suggesting a fruit tree nearby. Your aunt stops at an unremarkable patch of ground, drives her digging stick in, probes carefully, and pulls up a knobby tuber. It looks unappetizing, but when roasted tonight, it will be sweet and filling. In 10 minutes, you have enough tubers to feed the band. But you aren't done. While she digs, she tells your cousin a story. Stories are how the knowledge is remembered. She tells about the time her grandmother got sick from a root that looked almost exactly like this one, and points out the tiny difference in the leaf veins. This is education, not in a classroom, but survival knowledge passed down through stories, demonstrated with actual plants and reinforced by observation. Early afternoon, and you are miles from camp. Your legs are tired, your shoulders ache. Yet the work is meditative. You are completely present in a way modern humans rarely experience. Every sense is engaged, listening for animal rustles, watching for the shimmer of water, smelling the air for smoke. The mental map your people possess is staggering, identifying hundreds of species, which are edible, which are medicinal, which will kill you. Finally, late in the afternoon, the baskets are full, and you turn back. Hunting was the occasional glory, but gathering was the reliable nutrition. Both were required. Let's look at that other aspect of survival, the hunt. We imagine early humans waking up every morning ready to wrestle a saber-toothed tiger. The reality was more interesting. Hunting was not a daily grind. It was an occasional, high-stakes event. Successful hunts happened every few days if you were lucky, every few weeks if you weren't. The rest of the time was preparation and strategy. Today is a hunt day. Signs have been building. Fresh tracks of a small antelope herd were spotted yesterday, heading toward a seasonal water source. A group gathers in the morning, 8 proven trackings and hunters, men and women. They carry spears, masterpieces of prehistoric engineering that took days to create, with stone points traded from a quarry hundreds of miles away. Some carry atlatls, spear throwers that use leverage to triple the spear's velocity. The group moves out, walking at a steady, sustainable pace. This is where hunting becomes science. A tracker kneels, studies a single hoof print, and signals to the others. He can tell the animal passed this morning, was not alarmed, and is a healthy young adult. This is pattern recognition honed over a lifetime. The group follows the trail for hours. This is the part that never makes it into the dramatic retellings. The long, patient stalking that requires mental endurance. Midday, they spot the herd. They choose persistence hunting, a technique humans uniquely have perfected. Humans cannot outrun almost any animal in a sprint, but we can run for hours in the midday heat without overheating, thanks to our hairless bodies and efficient sweating. The hunters spread out and begin a steady jog toward the herd. The antelope bolt, but the humans don't stop. They follow the tracks, keeping up the pressure. 2 hours, 3 hours pass. The sun is brutal, but the humans keep moving, sweating profusely to cool their muscles. Persistence hunting is cooperative. Trackers rotate the lead position, allowing individuals to recover while maintaining the pressure. Finally, after nearly 5 hours, they close in on a single antelope that is stumbling, its cooling system overwhelmed, its muscles failing. A spear flies true, and it's over. First comes the ritual acknowledgement, a prayer of gratitude or respect for the animal's life. Then the butchering, a sophisticated technical operation. They know animal anatomy perfectly. Nothing is wasted. But they are miles from camp and cannot carry hundreds of pounds of meat alone. This is where the social dimension becomes crucial. Two runners head back at speed to bring reinforcements. The rest build a fire to keep scavengers at bay and smoke the meat. Within hours, more people arrive from camp, elders, children old enough to help. The trip back to camp is a celebration. Successful hunts are social events. There will be feasting tonight, stories told, dancing and music. The hunt will become part of the collective memory, a story to teach strategy, persistence, and cooperation. It was not just about the protein. It was about the social glue and the cognitive development pushed by strategic planning. While some were hunting or gathering, by midday the camp was alive with a different sound, the rhythmic tap, tap, tap of stone on stone. This was essential daily maintenance. Tools didn't last forever. In a world without metal, you made your tools or you didn't survive. Stone tool making, or knapping, was not something you figured out in an afternoon. It took years to master. You watch your aunt working, reading the flint like an intimate friend, knowing precisely the fracture lines. She shapes the piece over an hour. Then, with one perfect strike, a long, thin blade detaches, sharp enough to slice through hide. She applies a prehistoric equivalent of superglue, pine resin mixed with charcoal and crushed bone, to haft the blade to a wooden handle. This craft was an art. We find stone points and bone needles decorated with patterns, made more beautiful than they needed to be. Specialization was fundamental. Your aunt was an expert at stone. Your brother excelled at antler and bone carving. Status, reputation, and identity were conveyed through craftsmanship. Children watched, imitated, and gradually learned, ensuring the knowledge flowed to the next generation. All of this activity raises the question of leisure. The classic image of prehistoric life as nasty, brutish, and short, a constant, non-stop struggle for survival, is false. When immediate needs were met, human minds looked for patterns, challenges, and little puzzles to solve. We find evidence of toys, tiny carved animals, spinning tops, evidence that children rehearsed adulthood through play. We also find flutes carved from bird bones and mammoth ivory, some more than 40,000 years old, with carefully spaced holes that produce recognizable musical scales. Imagine the first time someone brought one of those flutes out by the fire. The strange, clear sound rising above the crackle of the fire. For a moment, everyone freezes. Then, notes repeat. Someone starts a rhythm. Another taps a log. The camp is suddenly alive with dance. Music and dance synchronize bodies and minds, strengthening group identity and reducing anxiety. The other great technology of leisure was storytelling. At night, the best talker begins. A story about the last great hunt, a flood, a trickster animal that steals fire. Stories are the memory of the group, carrying critical information across generations. Where the good water is in a dry season, which plants can cure a fever, and which can kill. And of course, grooming. We often imagine our ancestors as filthy, but grooming, hygiene, and bonding was essential. You sit with a friend while they gently comb through your scalp, picking out dirt and parasites. It is practical and soothing, the intimate contact that says, "You matter." Then comes decoration. red ochre body paint, bracelets and necklaces of pierced shells and teeth. These marks of personal adornment are at least 100,000 years old, used to signal identity and status. What we see is a world where survival wasn't enough. They needed beauty, connections, meaning, and play. The boundary between you and the world was thinner. In that stillness, the world felt coherent and safe. Small human bands of 20 to 50 people were the sweet spot. Natural selection, culture, and practicality pushed your ancestors into this living room-size society. Intimate, flexible, and deeply personal. You knew every voice, every laugh, every step in the dark. Gossip was not idle chatter. It was law enforcement, news, and social media rolled into one. Your reputation was your social credit score. Cooperation was the rule. Children didn't belong to a nuclear family. They belonged to the group, the network. This redundancy in care, cooperative breeding, provided an invisible safety net. Relationships and partnerships were varied. No single prehistoric marriage model existed. Only the pragmatic need to manage resources and protect children. The band was not the whole world. Bands converged seasonally, especially when resources were temporarily abundant. These were your festivals, opportunities for trade, finding potential mates from outside the band, and information spread. This entire structure was facilitated by one extraordinary adaptation: language. The ability to say not just lion, but 3 lions came from that ravine last dry season when the river was low, so don't camp there with small children. Language allowed complex coordination, teaching, and storytelling. In this world, the elderly were walking libraries, hard drives of experience. The one who knows which plants cure stomach pain, the one who knows the change of seasons. Their knowledge made them valuable, and losing an elder was like a library catching fire. Death, when it came, was not ignored. Graves show careful arrangement, bodies dusted with ochre, buried with tools and goods. This suggests ritual, a belief that the dead continued on or became something else. Death became part of the story, shared grief, memory, fear, and hope that knitted the group together. Your ancestors didn't survive because they were the strongest individuals. They survived because they were embedded in networks of care, obligation, communication, and memory. This inner life extended into the realm of art and spirituality. We see this most clearly in the cave paintings deep in the dark, far beyond where anyone needed to go for sleep. We don't know why, but we have clues. Teaching, where hunters brought adolescents to show painted herds and behavioral patterns, or ritual, where the images were tools to influence reality, prayers rather than pictures. It was perfect for altered states of consciousness. Geometric signs around the animals suggest vision patterns, suggesting the paintings are records of experiences inside the human mind. The same inner life created the Venus figurines, symbolic thinking that turned objects into concepts. Womanhood, fertility, life. Symbolic thinking extended to the sky, connecting stars to patterns of migration and plant ripening. The universe was alive with meaning. Tricksters, guardians, spirit persons. Shamans danced and entered trance states to negotiate with these hidden forces, to heal, to find food. This inner life was not just about explanation. It was the glue, welding small, fragile human groups into something strong enough to survive. As the day winds down, Paleolithic people follow a signal, a quiet alarm clock, the setting sun. The open landscape that felt manageable in daylight changes in the dark. Activity draws toward the central fire, the boundary line between us inside and everything else outside. Gatherers return with bundles, hunters sometimes triumphant, children drawn in. Fire-like conversations debrief the day. Gossip smooths over conflicts. And again, the stories. Full stomachs allow the tone to shift from the practical, shouted messages of the day to the slower, rhythmic storytelling, carrying critical information and myth. Above them, the cosmic calendar, stars unconnected by touch but seen by all, was woven into the patterns of life. But night is also risky. Vigilance is a rotating duty. Someone always stays half awake, tossing wood, listening for the wrong rustle. Some Paleolithic camps also had another set of eyes and ears, dogs. By 40,000 years ago, early domestication was underway, creating tamer wolves that sniffed out predators and alerted the camp, wired directly into your nervous system. Layered watchfulness meant humans drifting toward sleep, the poke of embers, shifting dogs, a margin of safety. Gradual thinning of conversation, fire slumping to coals. People find their places on the bedding of grasses and aromatic plants, arranged according to a social map. Children wedged between adults, heads against warm shoulders. Sounds settle into layers, crack and sigh of fire, soft breathing, distant threats of hyenas and lions, terrifying but familiar. Under all that, the sky keeps turning, stars wheeling, moon drifting. These vulnerable hours, mind in other worlds, eyes closed, are when you are wrapped in layers of protection built yourself. Community, creativity, nature, purpose. These fundamental needs are ancient. This quiet rhythm of effort and ease, togetherness and solitude, is the template of a good human day. As you listen now, you are stepping away from the hunt of notifications, and emails. Back toward the fire. Let the day end. The hunt can wait until morning. The world can wait until morning. For now, you can rest.